So, 2024 is about to end. How was it for you? Story 1. 2024 has been a year of finding stability for me. I moved out of my dad's abusive household 2 years ago, and since then, I've been building my own life. I graduated high school, started working, and got my own apartment. My dad has even started to realize his faults, which is something I never expected. I don't have many friends right now, but I'm trying to reconnect with some old ones. I feel like 2025 is going to be my year to really move forward. How was 2024 for you? Story 2. There were days I was literally just existing, going through the motions. But other days, I had so much fun. Whether it was random trips, good concerts, or just vibing with friends. The vibe of 2024 felt like we were all kind of lost, but also embracing the chaos. Weird, but it worked. Story 3. Wow, just like that. I can't believe 2024 is almost over. For me, it was a roller coaster of a year. I started a new job, I had mixed feelings, and it was super challenging. Still haven't fulfilled my dream of traveling the world, but in all things, I'm ending the year feeling stronger and more grateful than ever. Story 4. 2024 has been a wake-up call. I've realized I can't coast anymore. I've coasted my whole life. I need to create more options for myself, and that starts with me going back to school and getting my GCSE in maths. I'm grateful. It's the kick up the arse I needed. Story 5. It was rough. I lost my soul dog in 2023, adopted another baby in 2024, just to lose him after only having him for 3 weeks. I thought I could drink the pain away, only to learn that I get terrible hangovers and the people I was drinking with weren't friends at all. I'm sober now, in a relationship with a man who's way too good for me, and I'm hoping 2025 is a little kinder to us all. Story 6. Went to the DRs in March because I was feeling breathless and exhausted with fluid retention. Hospital discovered a tumor in my chest. Luckily, it's not growing. They decided I was too fat to have open chest surgery, breaking apart my ribs and sternum to remove it. Now awaiting bariatric surgery so that I can have the tumor removed eventually. Don't get fat, kids. Thankfully, I don't need chemo or radiotherapy yet. On the plus side, my husband has stepped up and been wonderfully supportive. I'm a very fortunate girl. Story 7. Good. Feels like I made some positive progress towards some life goals and figuring out what I want to do. Going into the new year with a sense of confidence and optimism, despite the state of certain parts of the world. It's easy to get lost in all of that, so my advice would be to take a step back and focus on the things you can do to better yourself, no matter how small. You got this, fellow humans, and if you ever feel like you need some help, just ask. It can never hurt to ask for help. And if you don't get it from where you asked, find someone else to ask, and keep seeking it. Seek until you find. Story 8. One of the best years of my life. Came into 2024 just broken up with by my ex-girlfriend of 9 years. Didn't have a clue what I was going to do. My new job helped massively. Met a girl who I know I will marry someday. Been to Paris, Barcelona, London, plus many more places on holiday. Met new people, made new friends, made new memories. I can't wait for 2025. Story 9. 2024 was very up and down for me. Saw my mother in very poor health. Her cancer is back. Moved apartments, which was very expensive, NYC. Girlfriend was diagnosed with a brain tumor and had an emergency craniotomy followed by months of rehab. Also spent 2 beautiful weeks in Italy with the love of my life. She made basically a full recovery from her brain surgery. Turns out we love our new apartment and we are going home for the holidays. Picking up the ring this week and just waiting for the right moment to propose. A lot of bad, but so much more to be thankful for. But goddamn, was it a roller coaster this year. Story 10. 2024 was an awful. Started the year with some absurd relationship/breakup drama that and left me with an ex who won't disappear quietly. We have some mutual friends who just always seem to find reasons to bring her along so she can tell me how amazing of a boyfriend I was and whine about all the ways her current boyfriend fails to live up to me, as if that would make me take her back. In spring, my dog started having seizures and was diagnosed with epilepsy. In summer, my AC broke, and I had no AC and 110-degree heat for a week until my new unit was installed for $7K. A month later, I started to have an issue with rats in my crawl space. And when I had my pest service come set up traps, they noticed a leak in my crawl space that led to needing a new evaporator coil installation for $4,000. Shortly after that, I was in a nasty car accident swerving to avoid a cyclist. The accident knocked me unconscious, though, and like my dog, I'm epileptic. So it was recorded as a seizure and my license was medically suspended. So I totaled my car, lost my license, had to recover from some nasty injuries, and was dealing with the annoyance of paperwork, registering and insuring my new car, dealing with the claim, medical paperwork, etc. All at once, all October and November long. Getting pretty close to back to normal. Paperwork seems to be moving through my insurance properly now at least. Just need my license back, but I can't get that until won 2025. But hey, it wasn't all bad. I joined a dance team that was super fun and kept me focused through all the drama. My injuries were bad, but I recovered just in time to be healthy-ish for my team's big year-end performance and had a bunch of fun with all of them. And despite all the bad, I am continually reminded I have an amazing support system. My parents have been super helpful through the issues, and so many of my friends have offered me rides or to come give me a hand. I'm constantly reminded that I'm surrounded by amazing people. I've been asked by my studio to be the captain of the dance team next year and to dress as Santa for their annual Christmas party, which I will be hosting an after-party for. So, we're ending the year on a high note and looking up as we travel into 2025. Story 11. Girlfriend broke up with me in May. I just moved into her place in September, October of 2023, found a new place while dealing with the intense feelings of heartbreak and depression. She wanted to stay friends and we tried. Then she cut me out because I kept bringing up our past, but said we could try being friends again in a few weeks. That was in July. LMAO, haven't heard from her since, but it's better this way. Realized how unhealthy that relationship was for both of us and how she wasn't a good fit for me to begin with. Last time I got broken up with, I had little to no sense of self-worth for almost 2 years. This time around, I've somehow come out of it with more self-love and self-confidence than I've ever felt before. I've gained a clearer idea of what doesn't work for me in a relationship and what does. I have a vision of the type of person I want to let in as a partner. I'm dating, but not settling for just anyone. I enjoy my own company too much to let someone into my life who doesn't add to it or make me happy. I'd rather be alone than put myself in another relationship where I go through stretches of misery because of certain things I have to overlook despite feeling uncomfortable. So in other words, my life got torn down a bit but got built back up better than ever. Hell, I even got a raise at work. It really ended up being one of those things where it has to go through and you feel like the world is ending. But man, the development I've experienced is worth so much more than that relationship ever was. The future is exciting for me, and I have a good feeling about 2025. Story 12. Probably the roughest year of my 25 years of life. Lost my job, been looking for another one for the past 9 months, lost a 4-year partnership, developed severe anxiety after being isolated so long, had to move back into my parents' house, lost my vehicle. The only good thing that happened this year was right before I lost my job, me and my best friend went on a road trip across Colorado, got to see almost the entire state in 7 days. Most beautiful place I've ever been, felt like a fantasy world. Story 13. Absolutely awful. I don't know how I'm still here. Loss. I can't even begin to tell you how much loss I endured. I lost my relationship with my parents, most other family members too. Lost both of my best friends this year. Had my kids taken away from me and my boyfriend of 2 years told me I was a mistake this morning. I'm ending the year more alone than ever. Story 14. I've found that my anxiety and insomnia is only getting worse, but my depression is better now than it ever has been. Maybe because I care way less about things that directly affect me and way more about things that don't, which is not healthy at all. I need to go back to therapy. The pro is that I got married to my person in August, and I feel a sense of peace and safety that I've never had before. I know I did the right thing in that department at least. Story 15. Pros. Long-term partner and I bought a house and closed the gap. He proposed to me. Our dogs get along. He makes me incredibly happy and calm. See cons. Body felt like it betrayed me. Low back pain, sciatica, full-on spasm that left my leg needing 3 months of physical therapy. COVID for the first time. My first hemorrhoid. A panic attack that had me in the ER. And more. Truly been some of the highest highs that have overshadowed the crap. Truly just trying to embrace that life will always be and great all at the same time and focus on the pros. Story 16. Pretty good all told. I got a job after a protracted search, and thus a medium-term residence permit along with it. Everyone involved seems happy with me so far. Hooray for no imminent threat of deportation. I passed a language exam that is a level above where I thought I was. I fell off my bike 3 times but had no serious injuries. One of them could have gone very badly, so I'm happy about that. I now have both a niece and a nephew, which is pretty great, and all kids and parents are doing well. Good work, siblings. It will be one of a minority of years in my life, 6 out of about 20, where it was relevant, where I'll have been in a pretty happy relationship throughout the year. Of course, not everything was great. R.I.P. Granny. Things are tough for Grandpa. I don't think he'll have a good end to 2024, and very much TBC how much of 2025 he'll have to endure. Becoming employed was not brilliant for my fitness or waistline. Nothing too serious yet, but it's time to pay more attention to my diet and be more efficient in my exercise time. Friends are moving away a lot faster than I'm making more. I'm hoping I can change this next year as life is more fun when shared with people. Story 17. My buddy has this theory that even years tend to more than odd years. Unfortunately, he's been right more often than not. This year is no exception. I currently live in a hellhole, and I was supposed to escape it in May, but bureaucracy and one head in particular prevented that. So I had to scramble to find a place to live and a job, the latter of which didn't happen. The people I had to deal with more recently were slow to approve things, meaning I now have to have 16-ish hour days to finish my project so I can graduate on time. Let's hope 2025 is better. Story 18. The worst year of my life by far, and it's not even close. On one hand, I got into grad school and started my first year, and I also proposed to my partner during the eclipse in April, but we broke up a couple weeks ago, and that has been horrifically difficult. We had been together for 4 years. The election happened in the U.S., and it totally took me by surprise and also kind of wrecked me for a while. I've been trying to manage and survive, but I haven't been succeeding at all. Story 19. It has quite literally been the best year of my life. I'm 37, and I turn 38 in a few weeks. If I play my cards right in 2025, then 2024 will have been the second best year of my life by the time we're in next December. I am tempering my expectations, though. I've become far too cynical to just accept things are this good, but I'm going to stay out of my own way, not sabotage myself, and let my newfound happiness do its own thing. Here's to hoping y'all ride this train with me. Story 20. This has been an amazing year in general. I got to do my thesis, made some friends while doing so, didn't finish my master's. That's a shame, but I'll manage. I got a therapist. I discovered a board game shop club 1 mile from my home, made more new friends there, finished therapy. Well, the therapist said I could manage on my own, and got a girlfriend who's so sweet she can only be wanting to harvest my organs. Story 21. Mixed. I got sober and lost 100 pounds. My life is much more focused and healthy now, and I'm happy with how 2024 is ending. But I also dealt with the fallout of a breakup. Broke up with my girlfriend last year and realized I wanted to be with her again. Spent the past year being gaslit and led on while also confused and hurt by her treatment of me. Really conflicting year. But I feel more at peace with my decision, and I'm going into 2025 excited. Story 22. The worst year in my life so far, LOL. I experienced depressive episodes for the first time, extreme anxiety levels, countless sleepless nights, and many disappointments. I knew a lot about myself and exceeded my limits in so many aspects. Looking back at the end of 2023 versus now, 2 different persons. I knew tons of people, experienced feelings I never knew about before, and I finally got my medical degree. Oh, too much happened, but I'm proud of my new self and my endurance. Kind of afraid though, but I'm willing to accept this new version and take my time to heal, hopefully. Story 23. Got married to my GF of 10 years, settled in our new house. We moved in 2023, but it was rough for the first few months with hardly any furniture. That was good. Our democracy is being dismantled by a pro-Russian wannabe autocrat, and he's succeeding, because almost half of our country believes in obvious lies and strives for incompetence and outright evil. 1st of January, almost half of our country's doctors are resigning from their hospitals in protest because the government, which has been with a short break during COVID, controlled by the single party, has destroyed our medical system, and the Prime Minister outright said he does not care about hospitals. Story 24. For me, it's been one of the few years where things have started to change for the better and not for the worse. Some of my health issues have cleared, and my life has gotten on track after decades of derailment. Not everything was perfect, but compared to where I was even a year ago, well, it's better to be alive now than then. Story 25. Really difficult. Some of the year was really good, some of it was really tough. Ending the year 24 weeks pregnant with an almost 2-year-old and a husband who was unexpectedly laid off back in August, then diagnosed with diabetes after a really scary hospital stay. His health has thankfully improved to the point he can start looking for work again, but it's going to really, since he won't be able to take time off for our last baby to be born. Story 26. It has been excellent so far. I quit drinking alcohol at December 31st of 2023, on the same day my now ex-BF decided to betray me. I started 2024 sober, jobless, and heartbroken. In May, I managed to find a job that is not call center and pays very well, after being stuck in call centers for 8 years. I am still sober. I lost weight. I picked up Pilates class again. I have found a stretch routine from YouTube I do almost daily. Story 27. So far, everything is going well. Healthy pregnancy. My toddler is growing well. Eating more, becoming more sociable now. No one in the family is in the hospital. Husband is still a good father and a good husband. Going on a trip at the end of December with my husband's parents and younger brothers. Let's see if I can still walk around that time. Haha. Super excited for the arrival of my baby early next year. On the other hand, I have more physical pain in this pregnancy now, and I have difficulty sleeping. Story 28. First 4.5 months were very good for me. However, May 17th, I got diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, MS. Then in July 24th, got a phone from HR telling me that am going to be terminate on August 9th. That phone call really hurt my mental health. The next day, I tried to commit suicide and spent 2 weeks in the hospital. Now I spend majority of my time watching TV and movies, reminisce the old days of working, driving, and talking to family and friends to keep me up and positive. Story 29. Well, told husband I want a divorce. He moves in with roommates, who just happen to really be his long-term side piece. I lose my job. A death of a friend. Dog died week after. Lost new job after 2 months. Filed for divorce. STBX not paying any bills because he's purposely being unemployed and had to cash in 50% of my measly retirement to pay bills. Anything else? Story 30/2024 has been my busiest year yet. I got a kitten, found out I was pregnant, got engaged, eloped in a country I'd never been to before because it was significantly cheaper than getting married in my own country, Australia. Kept the elopement a secret for 2 months until we hosted our engagement party, where we played our wedding video to all our shocked family and friends. We sadly lost one of our dogs who passed away after having a severe seizure. Now we're waiting for Bub to arrive any day now. It's been a whirlwind. Story 31/2024 was very much the year of internal conflict and recalibration for me. I've read papers about the nexus stage of one's life, what some poets have described as the dark night of the soul throughout the years. It is a time when we face our innermost demons and arrive at a fork in the road of our future fate. Some psychoanalysts describe it as a cartoonish choice between the light and the dark. You either let the darkness consume you or use it to strengthen you. With that being said, it was neither good nor bad. It was very difficult at times, and I often found myself feeling numb and apathetic to any kind of stimuli. The two most positive things that happened were, 1, I got my physical health back on track, and I am working hard to maintain that discipline. 2, I got a new job in a field I have been training myself to get into. Story 32. A real roller coaster. Started stable. My SO and I moved in together and were getting settled in. The perfect season for being settled and cozy. Felt like something big was going to happen this year. I got into graduate school after deciding to go back last year, in a location that would get me close to my dream. Started working towards the future we planned, ready to be engaged. Enjoyed living it up with a job I liked while I still had it, and making memories before I left. Moved overseas for school. Finally living in Europe, my dream, while advancing my knowledge for work I love. Waiting for my BF to move over for work. So, and I broke up. 4 years and an even longer friendship down the drain. My heart is crushed. It shouldn't hurt, but it does, so bad. Trying to remind myself that my future is bright and this is my dream, even if half of that dream is broken and gone, and another part seems uncertain. IDK, what to make of this year? I know I feel like I really lived and felt so much, though. Story 33A, maybe? 2023-2024's had bumpy parts, mostly work-related, but finally happy on a personal level after being a mess for years. Almost entirely due to getting into a committed relationship after being a depressed, lonely, anxious drunk for years. Also helps I finally got mental health help in 2022 and began taking Buspirone and Adderall and can actually function. Story 34. Well, I moved to a city that I love, bought my first home, bought a new car, enrolled in college, and turned 30. But my dad died the day before my birthday to a horrific battle with cancer. So, good? I don't know. I feel guilty saying it was a good year at all. Story 35. Worst year of my life, my whole family died, and I was the one who found my mom's body and watched my uncle and dad die in front of me, all of them due to cancer or literal kidney failure. I'm alone. I have no family left, and I'm so done with this year and ready for it to be over. Story 36. Not terrible. Found the right combination of meds to get my mental health under control, and I feel normal for the first time in ages. Went through a bad breakup, which actually seems like a blessing in disguise a few months later. My Graves' disease came back, but I'm fighting to get that under control as soon as I can this time. Neutral year, but it's been good for me to grow. Story 37. Not great, but not my worst year of my life. 12 years ago takes the cake on that one. However, I did almost die from sepsis earlier this year and had to evict an organ, on top of losing my job the day after I lost said organ. I got engaged, but given I'm an American woman, IDK if I can go through with the wedding given the rise in popularity in revoking no-fault divorces. Story 38. Different. Started off absolutely terrible, but I ended up traveling more than I ever did in any other year of my life. Made more money this year than I ever have before, though I'm still on the lower end of middle class, working poor, Went to a bunch of good shows and felt like I took so great steps going forward to being a better person all around. And I mostly have my ex to thank for that, as weird as it sounds. Story 39, pretty good year. Got my first car and learned how to drive. My business kept improving as well as my skills as a music producer. Nothing particularly great or bad happened, just steady growth. And the other night, after hanging out with a friend I haven't seen in a while, I realized how much I've grown mentally, even though I'm always thinking I'm behind. So yeah, overall a pretty good year. Story 40. Not a year I'd like to relive. Lost my job a few weeks ago, girlfriend's mother passed away in the summer, and there wasn't much growth or overall excitement for me, as there was in years past. Still much to be thankful for, though. Really hope 2025 is better for everyone. Story 41. It was a weird year. On the surface, to anyone else, it would seem like a great year. I have a great job, traveled a ton, crossed things off the bucket list, still with the love of my life. But man, mental illness, I've dealt with it forever, but out of nowhere, I fell into one of the deepest holes of my life this year, and it hasn't let up. Depression, anxiety, heavy disassociation. No matter what I do, there's a shadow over it, which makes me even more deeply sad and depressed that I am this way. I've been in therapy and have tried so many meds, but I feel so stuck. It feels like a curse, honestly. Anyway, hopefully next year I can pull myself out of it. Story 42. The first half ed pretty bad. Too much personal turmoil, abusive relationship, chaos. After July, started getting better out of said relationship. A lot of personal growth and change. Last couple of months have had some really great developments. 2024 was a really mixed bag of a huge amount of change. Story 43. A roller coaster. I feel exhausted, sleep deprived, and just want to go to sleep every second of the day. Though I've made new friends and experienced good times with each other. It's fun and exhilarating, but it's also draining. Overall, I'm very content with what has happened and can't wait to see what next year has in store for me. Story 44. It started off awesome with a great vacation in my home country. Slumped a bit in early summer when the job offer I got was rescinded. Became better when I got a new job and was nice up until early November with the election and a layoff the week after. Now everything is ending on a whimper as I am on my 4th week of unemployment with a murky future ahead. Story 45. My dog was my best friend and she unexpectedly passed on April 11th. My wife and I did some cool things this year, but it just isn't the same. This Friday we move into a house for the first time and we won't have her there to run around and be her goofy self everywhere. I miss her so much. I work by myself from home all day and not having her here to comfort me has really taken its toll. This year has been hard without her. Story 46. Worst year of my life so far. Omao pursued a job I hated to appease my SO of 4 years. Graduated with a BA summa cum laude from a top 10 university while working 50, 60-hour weeks. Got burned out and depressed while working said hated job. Found out so cheated with his coworker because he felt I didn't love him anymore. When I was actively suicidal and trying to effectively cope and plan with my therapist on how to not follow through with the plan, Mao split from moved back to prior area and took LOA from job 50 miles away. Ed his coworker's husband out of spite and funsies. Then Ed my old coworker. Old coworker got feelings. Had to drop that LOL. Got new job. Absolutely love it. Passed exam for nursing school admission and applied to go back to school. Had realization that I didn't hate my life and wanted it to end. I just didn't like the person I was dating. Ready to move on in life. Story 47. It was good. Highlights were swallowing my fear of heights to climb a landmark hill with my sister on my birthday. Going to Belgium for a beer-soaked stag do after spending months learning Dutch, and having a couple of parties along the way where I dusted off my old barman skills. I took up running again as well and found that even at 50 years old, it's not as hard as I thought it would be. Story 48. It's a year I can't wait to leave personally. It started with my kitten's declining health and eventual passing. I lost my little sister at the start of September. More of a first world problem that my car is in need of repairs before I can register it and drive it again, though I've got my mother-in-law's car to borrow, so mercifully I'm not without transportation. On the brighter side, with my kitten's passing, I adopted another kitten through the same rescue, and she's been an absolute joy. With my sister's passing, I've reconnected with family and friends, and the bond between those already close has strengthened. I have a full-time job, a roof over my head, food in my belly, and people that love me. 2025 will be better. Story 49. Very up and down. Got diagnosed with skin cancer at the start of the year, went through a couple of surgeries and gained a few pounds because I started to eat my feelings to cope with the stress. Got the all clear, but then dealt with the death of a family member. Later, I got a new job, celebrated my 40th birthday in New York, and then celebrated my wife and I being together for 17 years. Story 50. Been looking for a job since the start of the year. I at least have a couple prospects. Hopefully I am employed by the end of January. This is the longest I have ever been unemployed since I first started working at age 16. Silver linings? I got to spend this whole year caring for my son. He just turned 15 months. While this has not been the best year by most standards, I know I will not look back at this time and wish I was working more. Eat it, BC. I posted the comment prematurely. Story 51. Not the worst, but not the best. I've been financially struggling all year, entirely my own fault though. I did, however, go on my first international trip to visit a friend. Best 10 days of my life. And I've started a new job that I am already much, much happier at. All in all, a solid 7 out of 10. 2025 is looking better for me, but I will expect nothing so as to not be disappointed. Story 52. Started to do a lot more for myself this year. I even got into a relationship in August, which was great. I genuinely felt like my life had turned around. But then just a few days ago, that relationship ended, and now I feel so lost and alone. They're going through a lot with grief, having lost their father only this year in May, so it was getting too difficult for them to manage a relationship, which I can understand. There's other issues as well, and I respect their decision. But man, does it hurt. I feel so broken. I genuinely thought this was the person I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. Story 53. Honestly, a great year overall. Debt-free. Started my Twitch and made affiliate. Able to work less, reconnect with friends and family, made some gym gains. Not perfect, though. Lost a grandfather. Currently mourning my feelings for a dear friend. Not sure if I'll keep being friends with them yet. Story 54. Started off really bad. I found my best friend, who I was living with at the time, dead in our apartment 3 days after last Christmas. I lost my friend, and I lost my home. It went up from there. I found love. I found the person I'm absolutely sure I am going to live my life with. I got a promotion I've been chasing for a couple of years now. I ended up moving into a really nice apartment with the love of my life. We adopted a kitten together. I lost a very dear uncle of mine this year, which brought back a lot of pain from the beginning of the year. But I have an amazing family and I am surrounded by love, so I'm grateful. I am 30 and I have never experienced loss. I still have all of my grandparents. And I can say I have never felt pain like losing a friend and losing a loved one 4 months apart, both from alcohol abuse. Even though it hurts still, I am so grateful to the universe that I have gone so long without experiencing loss. And I only hope those who have gone through the same or have experienced worse, I only hope you know you are loved. Story 55. Found some surface-level cancerous moles on my girlfriend. Cried a lot before getting the results, and I'm more at ease now that she got them removed. She has a ton of moles, and her grandma had skin cancer too, making my girlfriend more likely to develop more. I'm just trying to appreciate her more while I can and enjoy our time together. Story 56. Where it has been good, it has been among some of my best days yet. Where it's been bad, it's been really bad. The road to those best days was difficult. It isn't my best year ever, that was 2023, but it's not been my worst. I'm happy with it. I want to say I hope 2025 is calmer, but that won't pan out. That said, it won't be hectic in a bad way. So in 2025, it'll be saying yes to as many new experiences as I can feasibly do, because my life will be already here, there, and everywhere, as is. Story 57. Start of it was fine. I had a medical emergency at work and had to go to the hospital. Doctors call it a vasovagal episode. There's a lot of factors that can lead to it. God, I remember every second of it. Anyway, I got a new job in September, then lost that job a month later because admittedly I was the weakest link by far on that team. Still, a really good job, plenty of hours, $30 per hour, and I was like 8 blocks from it. It was enjoyable for how long I was there. I got a puppy in May. She's still a playful little thing, and I've got the bite marks to prove it. She loves eating my pants. I'm going back to college in the new year, so I'm a bit nervous at that. Story 58. It was very weird. On paper, it looked really good because I went on a friend's trip, saw multiple concerts of my favorite bands, got to see my favorite baseball team multiple times, and even got a new job, but a lot of nasty arguments with my narcissist mother. Dad lost his job for a while and had to deal with the paperwork and headache. Felt low about myself for a while. Started seeing my friends less, felt lonely, and on top of that, came within inches of ending it with my GF. This year was weird, but I'm glad it's over. Story 59. A year of rebuilding and recovery, making progress and finding myself. Lost my mother at the end of 2022. 2023. I felt numb through most of it and stressed. This year, my wife and I have focused on us and our careers. I took on some extra responsibility at my job, which got me promoted and a decent amount of extra money. This past week, she got a promotion at her job to assistant manager. We are finding our footing. Story 60. Fair to good. My finances are not great, but my mental health is better than it has been in decades. I did some intense trauma therapy work, quit drinking, except for rare special occasions, and took a break from dating and started spending more time with my immediate family, all of which have helped me get to a good place. I've also been in remission from my eating disorder and have gained back a healthy amount of weight, which I'm trying my best to see as a positive, because it is. If I have any advice to share, it's to simplify your life and make it soft. That was my goal for 2024, and it has paid off in spades. For 2025, my goal is to get my financial house in order, so I'm excited for what's next now that my brain is healthy. Story 61, 2024 was a year of paying off debt and frugality. I made aggressive payments to a student loan and got it paid off a few weeks ago. I saved a good amount as well. I didn't go on any vacations or spend a ridiculous amount of money. It was hard emotionally as I felt I was wasting my life just paying debt off and dealing with some personal stressful situations. 2025 will be better. My life won't feel like it's on hold any longer, and it's time to move forward. Time to live for me. Story 62. Overall, it was pretty good. In fact, by many metrics, it was one of my best years ever. I've grown and changed a lot this year. I've taken some risks and had some amazing experiences. Not all of them turned out great, but that's part of the journey. I've definitely checked off a few bucket list items, even some I didn't know were an option, and my year's not over yet. Then again, my year not being over yet could be good and bad. A lot can happen in 2 weeks. There are still a few things I'm looking forward to that could be really good, but there is also plenty that can go wrong. Life is uncertain, and I'm doing my best not to take things for granted. I'm not getting any younger, and so I'm realizing that I can't afford to waste any more time. All this to say, where I am now is not at all where I expected to be, and it's been very, very good. So my advice to anyone is this: time isn't infinite. As we get older, more and more doors get shut, but there are still plenty of doors wide open that we might not even realize are there. I'm learning this lesson and have benefited from realizing that there is still plenty of life left in me, and plenty of adventures still to be had. Story 63. Well, I lost everything. I lost my store and my business went belly up. Lost a lot of my friends, lost nearly all of my possessions, lost my housing, staying with a couple friends, and that's becoming strained. I'm no stranger to loss. This isn't the first time I've lost everything, and it probably won't be the last time. I still have my tools, so I want to rebuild my business if I can once I'm back on my feet again. It's growing tiresome, though. It's like every time I start getting ahead in life and things are going well, life just slaps me down and reminds me of my place in this world. Story 64 started off great, and then in May, it started to get a little better in June, but went to again in July. It stayed like till about October when I realized, dodged a bullet and figured some things out. November 4th, it got better, and although I'm going through some chemotherapy right now, it's still looking pretty good. Halfway through treatment and only 2 weeks to go, this year is looking better every day. Story 65. Somehow the worst year of my life, and I've had some years. For the first time in my 24 years of working, I was written up. The cherry on top, I was fired last week. The reason for both? I did not meet my job's requirement of being in the office 60% of the time. I averaged 55%. My manager was aware of some health-related issues and was okay with it, but the higher-ups didn't care. It's funny because I normally have enough money to float myself for at least 3 months in case something like this happened. But of course, this year saw me deplete all my savings and rack up credit card debt. Just started to get it under control when the bad news was delivered. Story 66. On one hand, it's been tiring, just like most of us, I'm sure. I'm a dad of 2 young kids, and it's been crazy with the cost of living and frequent illnesses. On the other hand, it's been a great experience building personal character and witnessing them growing up. I've also been sober for 18 months, and my mental state has never been better. Story 67. Hard. The first 2 months I had an old lady that we helped. She can't remember anything. Like I was going to borrow the apartment she had with her ex. He has it now, but she can't remember that. So she would come and lock herself in while I was there. That was scary. Try have someone lock themselves in just because they have a spare key. So I got my old job. That was fun. My boss never came back. That was a nightmare. I had never taken that job if I was told anything about that. Became a head chef, had a nightmare of a summer, and had my last day at work some days ago, so I'm off to next year. Thank God. Story 68, pretty. We started January with my wife in a position to earn like 4x what I was making, almost $500K/year. I said, well, I'd prob keep working for a lot of reasons, but nice to have the option. End of January, we got the news that she might be getting laid off. Then we found out she wouldn't be laid off. But before and especially BC of Trump's election, her job is in jeopardy. She's in biotech. My job is underpaid, but being 90% remote offset that to the point that I was okay with it. BC, I was home most of the time for my kids. Well, new boss hired beginning of November wants to do away with WFH and move to hybrid. 3 days in, 2 days remote. Would be tolerable, except we moved in 2021, so my commute is 3 hours each way. My job is not worth that effort. We had someone local who could help, my ML, but she was recently diagnosed with brain cancer and has, at best, 6 months to live. We need both salaries to merely exist, but if I have to commute 6 hours a day, I can't be home for the kids. Our real income is lowered BC of the extra childcare, and my income is significantly lowered due to commute costs. So, January 1st, 2024, we had tons of potential. Didn't really need my job. I could tell them to off if I wanted, but I wouldn't have. Loved my boss and coworkers. Loved remote, affording a QOL that would be impossible otherwise. I could quit, and had my wife's promotion gone through, Hoja income would still be in the top 20%. Worst case scenario, I quit my job and be Mr. Mom for a few years. December 31st, 2024. Hate my boss. Coworkers bitter and stressed, desperate to leave my current job, where I've been for over 10 years. Wife's income doubtful, generally apprehensive about life. Woo. Story 69. The first half Ed, like totally Ed. I was basically grinding school projects, and thus being stuck at school dorms with every last friend being either out of country or moving with their fiancé to a different city. Then the second half came. The friend had a wedding. I started to appreciate time with my parents during summer this semester. I started to talk to some more people at school. That made it way more interesting. I still feel like my life has little to no purpose, and I am just existing, but at least I can talk to people every once in a while. Even through all that, 2023 still takes the crown for the worst year possible yet. I lost my grandfather and a family dog that year. Story 70. It's been great all in all. I created a strong bond with a partner, spent time with my kid sister, created a good environment at my summer job, and saw a lot of new bands/artists. It's been bad too. I dropped out of a college program, found out it wasn't for me, had an $8,000 visit to the ER, mostly covered by insurance. But because of that ER visit, I got a great maintenance inhaler. I've stayed in shape, and I've written in my journal more than ever. Hoping 2025 is awesome, and lots of learning too. Story 71. Made more money than I ever have before. Considered one of the top people on my team, I was just told I am the top candidate to take over when my boss retires. Live in a LCOL area with a sub $1,000 mortgage on a 3-bedroom brick house. Stopped buying anything I didn't need. My wife started couponing like crazy and regularly saves us a bunch on groceries. But I cannot afford a vehicle that has less than 275,000 miles and less than 20 years old. We took one trip that had to be supplemented partially by the person we were going to see. My wife and I have had one date, and that was for lunch. I cannot afford clothes for me and my wife. We only buy that for our 2 boys. I have never felt so broke in all of my life, but my kids are fed and have a roof over their heads, so it's going to be all right. Story 72, there was good and bad. The good, I started a self-published pen name with my best friend and published 8 books. The bad, husband lost his job quite spectacularly with articles and YouTube coverage about the company's utter failure. Still on the job hunt. Story 73, it was a blur for me. A lot happened. I was overwhelmed with it all, but it went right by me like a shadow. It was supposed to be the most memorable and important year of my life so far because I moved out, got a job I loved. I got my friendship issues all sorted out, did a lot of self-reflection and discovered a bunch about myself. But I also had lots of days I felt down, lowest I've ever felt, and realizing I had no one to pull me out of it but myself this time. I'm now realizing how these things really wear you out because I started the year with determination and high hopes, spite, which slowly got replaced with constant stress, then now with numbness. But looking back right now, I don't feel like I lived it all this year. It was as if I was watching my life unfold through a glass wall. It felt like a long fever dream. It was supposed to be a fulfilling and good year, but I couldn't see past the things I lack and appreciate what I had, which TBH, I had a lot to be grateful for.